Hi everyone, this is Sophie with Wise Owl Realty and we are your lease up team. In this PowerPoint, I'm going to show you how you can 3x or triple your rental income in just the first year of the lease up. So within this PowerPoint, we're going to learn why it's so important that your leasing specialists have strong sales conversion ratios and why having the wrong leasing specialist or underperforming leasing specialist or even average leasing specialist will actually cost you a lot of money. It's actually more expensive to have a poorly performing leasing specialist than it is to have a rock star closer. So we're going to talk about sales conversion ratios. So you have low sales conversion and high sales conversion. So the higher your sales conversion, the faster the results and the less money spent on marketing. So when you have somebody with low sales conversion, you are going to have to spend more money on marketing in order to try to increase their odds of getting more leases. So we're going to compare leasing specialist A and leasing specialist B. So leasing specialist A is your typical hourly paid employee that is hired to do leasing on site. In property management, this is what we are used to seeing. Now, leasing specialist B, on the other hand, is the performance-based independent contractor that is hired to do the leasing. This person is performance-based, meaning that they only get paid if you see results, aka get leases. So leasing specialist A is paid $17 per hour and earns roughly a $33,000 annual salary. They have an 8% sales conversion ratio. Now we're going to go ahead and apply leasing specialist A to your lease up. So your lease up, let's say, has 100 vacant units and your building sees 10 weekly tours. So 10 weekly tours times the 8% sales conversion ratio means that this leasing specialist is barely bringing in one lease per week. So at this pace, it would take you 125 weeks to fill 100 vacancies. That is almost 2.5 years. That's going to cost you $77,000 in salary over 2 years and 4 months, and that does not include your marketing costs. It doesn't include all the free months of rent that you had to hand out trying to get more people to lease, and that doesn't include your vacancy loss, which we will go over later on in these slides, and you will be surprised with what that number is. So let's go ahead and let's compare these stats to leasing specialist B. So leasing specialist B is the performance-based leasing specialist, and they are paid 90% of 1 month's rent. So these guys are only paid if the apartment is rented, hence the reason why they're performance-based. Now, what does totally change with leasing specialist B is they have a much higher conversion ratio. So leasing specialist B has a 25% sales conversion ratio. So let's go ahead and let's apply this leasing specialist to your lease up now and see what that looks like. So you still have 100 vacant units and there are still 10 weekly tours. Nothing has changed in those respects. The only thing that has changed is the 25% sales conversion ratio. So now if you multiply that by 10 tours per week, this leasing specialist will bring in about 2.5 leases per week on average, which is much better than just barely one. So at this pace, it would take you 40 weeks to fill 100 vacancies. That's less than in 1 year, which is pretty impressive. So essentially, by having this leasing specialist, you are going to have more money in your pocket a lot quicker. And you're not going to have to lose so much money from vacancy losses, just like you would for leasing specialist A, because remember, it takes them almost 2.5 years to complete the lease up, as opposed to under 1 year, like leasing specialist B. So let's go ahead and let's compare your building's progress. Let's see what your returns would look like if you were to have leasing specialist A versus leasing specialist B. So what your numbers would look like after 1 year with leasing specialist A. You have 52 weeks in 1 year, and leasing specialist A's sales conversion ratio is 8%. So at this pace, you would have 42 units rented by month after month 12. So let's go ahead and let's assume that your rent average is $1,600 per month. At the pace that leasing specialist A is leasing, they would bring you about 3.2 move-ins per month on average. So you're going to see, as more move-ins continue throughout the months, you're going to see an increase of about $5,100 per month in rent revenue. And here we crunch the numbers for leasing specialist A. So you see month 1, once you have the first few people move in, you have $5,100 in rent revenue, and then it just continues to increase till you get to month 12. After they have leased only 42 units, you're sitting at $61,440. So the total rent revenue after year 1 is $399,280. While some may believe that this number is good or okay or acceptable, once you see what Leasing Specialist B can do, you will want Leasing Specialist B. So let's go ahead and let's crunch numbers with Leasing Specialist B. So there are 52 weeks in 1 year. Leasing Specialist B has a 25% sales conversion ratio. So now at this pace, Leasing Specialist B would have already rented out 130 units after 12 months. Meanwhile, Leasing Specialist A has only rented out 42 at that pace. So now keep in mind that there are only 100 units that are available to rent. So this means that Leasing Specialist B, at the pace that they are leasing, would have your entire building completed by month 10. So all 100 units leased by month 10. And again, let's assume that the monthly rent average is $1,600. So at the pace that Leasing Specialist B leases, they're going to bring you about 10 move-ins per month on average, which is going to increase your monthly rent revenue to $16,000 each month as you continue to see more move-ins. So we're going to crunch the numbers here. Month 1, you start with $16,000, and as more move-ins continue, month after month, you're going to see an increase in rent revenue. Notice by month 4, you've already surpassed what Leasing Specialist A has done after 12 months. So month 4, you're already at $64,000 in rent revenue. By month 10, you have entirely completed the lease up, and you're at $160,000 in rent revenue. In month 11 and 12, you're just collecting more rent checks. So your total rent revenue after year 1 with Leasing Specialist B is $1.19 million. This is a drastically bigger difference between Leasing Specialist A. So on paper, you can see what Leasing Specialist A and Leasing Specialist B can do. So just by looking at the numbers, the higher number is Leasing Specialist B at $1.19 million. So they are clearly going to give you the bigger returns. So if someone were to ask you which one would you rather have, would you say you would rather have Leasing Specialist A or B? Quite frankly, if it were me, I would want to go with the one that brings in more revenue, which is Leasing Specialist B. But you naturally might be thinking, well, we still have to pay your leasing fees and we still have to account for those. And that is totally understandable, and we've done so in the next slide for you. So let's go ahead and let's calculate Leasing Specialist B's fees into the $1.9 million rent revenue that they earned you. So $144,000, we'll go ahead and subtract that from the rent revenue after 12 months. And $144,000, again, is just the 90% of 1 month rent, all added up for that year. And you're still sitting at $1,048,000, which is still a much higher number than what Leasing Specialist A brought you. So now we're going to calculate Leasing Specialist A's fees into the rent revenue that they brought you. So the rent revenue of $399,000, we're going to subtract their annual salary of $33,000, and you're left with $366,280. So now we're going to look at Leasing Specialist A versus B. So you can see on paper, even after all of the fees, you're still left with a much higher rent revenue with Leasing Specialist B at $1 million. So you could see here that paying less for a leasing specialist does not mean you will make more on the back end. So even after you were to pay us our fees, you would still be losing with Leasing Specialist A, you would still be losing $681,720 in year 1 alone. That is a lot of revenue lost in just year 1, and this is revenue you will never be able to get back again. And also keep in mind that Leasing Specialist A would take more than double the time to complete the lease up. So what do Wise Owl leasing specialists do differently from the others, from your typical leasing specialist? Well, for one, in this case particularly, we would put an additional $681,720 additional revenue in your pocket after just year one. And we'd also complete the lease up almost 3 times faster than your typical leasing specialist. So if you're ready to get started, just know that there are absolutely no upfront fees, $0 out of pocket to get going. There are no further marketing fees. We're not going to ask you to spend more on marketing. We're not going to ask you for any type of payroll, so you don't have to worry about that. And there's no handing out free months of rent. You don't have to worry about trying to attract more tenants by letting them know they can get a free month of rent. You don't have to do that to be successful with your lease up. So you can actually get started today for free. As a matter of fact, we can equip you with one of our strong sales converters and they can boost your leasing for you. You just sit back and watch the leases roll in. And remember, these guys, they'll only get paid by performance. So we get paid 1 month after the tenant has moved in and paid all their move-in money. This means, again, no upfront fees, $0 out of your pocket to get going, and throughout the duration of this entire lease-up service. So what you get is a top closer that will bring you leases and is only successful if you are. And this means more motivation to get the project done for you, which is great. So if you'd like to get started today, we are more than happy to help you get started, and we definitely don't want to see you miss out on all of this revenue that you could be making just in year one. So we are here to help. If there are any questions you have at all or would like to get started right away, fill out a contact form on our website at wiseowlcompany.com, or you can give us a call or send me an email personally. You see my email, it's sophia@wiseowlcompany.com, and our team is here to assist 24/7. We are your resource for lease ups, so we are always happy to help and give you a free assessment or provide any feedback that we can to make sure that you are set up for success. I look forward to hearing from you and working with you in the future with your lease ups. Take care.